What is an unexplainable memory from your childhood? My mother walked into my room, waking me up to tell me that most of the world's population was dead. I spent the rest of the day as normal, eating breakfast, going shopping with her, going to a playground, then eating dinner, albeit acting quite nervous throughout. The next day, she tried to make it clear that what started the previous morning wasn't true. I asked her if she remembered, but she told me she didn't. I'm certain it wasn't a dream, because I recalled the rest of what happened the previous day to her, only to be met by her confirmation that everything I remembered was correct, right down to how shaky I was, and how upset I seemed. All except for the part that humanity was on the brink of extinction. My family and I were driving out of Belos, a campsite/beach for military families in Hawaii. I lazily gaze out the window and something catches my eye. About 30 feet away in a clearing before a metal gate leading into the forest was a massive bird. Like 8 feet tall massive. It had a long neck, brown feathers, and very thick long legs. My jaw dropped, and I was still processing what I had seen, when my dad said, "What the hell was that?" Turns out he had seen it too, and we both described it identically. No one else saw it, and by the time our brains had caught up with our eyes it was too late to turn around. I will always regret not turning around. When we returned later in the day there was nothing there. When we asked a guard about it, he laughed at us. I scoured the internet afterward, and it looked like nothing I could find. At least, nothing that isn't extinct. It looked amazingly similar to one of the larger species of moa, but those lived in New Zealand thousands of miles away, and died out hundreds of years ago. This happened back in 2009, and to this day I wonder whether I saw a Lazarus species. I saw the original Jurassic Park when it was in theaters in the summer of 1993. I was 7 years old. During the scene at the end, where the velociraptors are about to get Alan Grant and co., I very clearly remember the T-Rex suddenly bursting through the wall of the visitor center before it grabs the first raptor in its jaws. The wall was made out of a grayish-white material, concrete or plaster. Back in those years you had to wait a long time for movies to come out on VHS, but when it finally did, and my parents brought it home I couldn't wait to watch it. I remember being confused at the end, because I was waiting in that tense raptor scene for the T-Rex to come bursting through the wall, but instead it was just suddenly there, grabbing the raptor, as we can all see in the film. I thought that it didn't seem to make much sense now, because how did the T-Rex get in the building all of a sudden seemingly without anyone noticing? I suppose I put it out of my mind, and always just figured that it was either my imagination, or that the scene of the T-Rex crashing through the wall appeared only in the theatrical version, and was removed for the home video. But then recently I decided to Google about that scene, and was shocked to discover, at last, that there were others that remember this scene as well. https://jurassicpark.fandom.com/wiki/jurassic_park_deleted_scenes https://jurassicpark.fandom.com/wiki/jurassic_park_deleted_scenes *rumors persist that the theatrical version of Jurassic Park included a scene towards the end of the film where the Tyrannosaurus actually smashes through a plaster wall in the visitor center. This scene was not included in the DVD or VHS release of the film, and no evidence other than first-person accounts has been found for this scene's existence. *STEVE Spaz Williams in his Vimeo channel said no such scene ever existed. Spaz cannot be said of towing the official line as he is no longer with Ilm or even in mainstream Hollywood for the matter of fact. So, it may be assumed that he is telling the truth. Here is the link to his comment http://vimeo.com/39431924 right square bracket http://vimeo.com/39,431,924. In other words, Steve Williams, who built the T-Rex used in Jurassic Park and worked on the other dinosaur effects, has stated that there is no such scene. Here's his response in the comment section of the above Vimeo link when asked if there was a scene where the T-Rex broke into the visitor center at the end and GT asterisk asterisk STEVE spaz WILLIAMS asterisk asterisk plus https://vimeo.com/plus 6 years ago and GT, we never did a shot where we saw the Rex enter the rotunda area. It was Spielberg who actually added that sequence cause he was so happy with how all the other shots were preceding Steve Price, who dies during Jumanji, animated that final shot. TLDR, when I saw Jurassic Park in the cinema I remember the T-Rex burst through the wall at the end to get the raptors. Others remember this scene too. No such scene exists on home video versions, and in fact, appears never to have existed at all. I could lucid dream when I was a kid. I would actually get really excited to go to bed, because I could decide what to dream, and then dream it. I had a reoccurring character in my lucid dreaming. He was a boy my age with blonde hair. We would always play in this backyard/playground type setting that has a big brick wall on the edge. One night I dreamt that we really wanted to find out what was on the other side of that wall, so we climbed a tree and the boy climbed onto the wall, looked back at me and waved, and went over it. I never lucid dreamed again after that. It actually caused me a lot of distress as a kid. I legit missed him terribly and tried so hard to lucid dream, but just couldn't do it anymore after that. When I was 6, I had a girlfriend named Molly. I moved away the next year and never saw her again. For the next 40 years, one of my earliest and most vivid memories was me watching a 6-year-old redhead girl running away from me, up towards her house, yelling, "Mommy, mommy, Jonathan kissed me," and her mother's voice coming back, "Well, that must mean he really likes you." A few years ago, I'd had a little sangria and decided to see if Molly was on Facebook. I know. There she was. Right name, right age, right hometown, lovely red hair. I met her asking if she was the right red-headed girl. She wrote back that she was definitely the right Molly and was happy to hear from me, but she'd only started dyeing her hair red after college. Memory's a trip, man. Edit, or my top post ever is about something sweet and wholesome. Maybe we can have nice things after all. I remember being at a playground with my family and seeing lightning strike right in front of me. Didn't hear any thunder, no one else saw it, but I remember seeing it pretty vividly. Not sure if there's something that can go on in your brain that would cause something like that to happen, but I remember pleading with my mom to believe that I had just seen a lightning bolt strike right in front of me, and she just ignored me. I used to have nightmares. My dad put up a poster of Peter Pan in my room and told me that when I went to sleep, Peter would fly out of the poster and chase all of the monsters away. I never had another bad dream. When I was a little kid, I thought that the mountain ranges on the horizon on the way to Grandma and Grandpa's house were built by my Uncle Richard. I have no idea how this idea got into my head, but I remember that when I figured out that there was no way it was possible, I was pretty bummed out. A small upstairs apartment. The only thing separating the kitchen from the living room was a countertop. My dad was in a chair in the corner facing toward the kitchen, holding me. There was a couch in the middle of the room with 2 adults sitting there, while my brother ran circles around the couch. My mom was in the kitchen making a pizza talking to the other adults. It's more a recurring dream I had for many years than a memory. I finally asked my mom about it and she confirmed it happened, but I said I was only around 6 months old, so I shouldn't remember it. However, my biological dad passed when I was 8, so I just kind of always took it as a memory he wanted me to keep. Edit, thank you for the gold. I've been a Redditor for 7 years and just snuck out of the shadows in the last year or so it's my first. My sister and I apparently both had the same dream one night, a scary one. We were staying in this villa where we had to share a room and we both woke up suddenly. The window was open when it hadn't been before. I realized she was awake as well and told her I'd had a bad dream, and as I started to describe it, she started talking along with me, describing the same dream. In it, this black creature that looked like a bull, only it had shiny, scaly, plastic-looking skin, was standing in the open window with this weird mechanical device, and it somehow fired a projectile at the lamp in the room, which started rocking back and forth. Neither of us wanted to get up and close the window in case the thing was actually out there, so we called for our mum, and she closed it, reassured us in typical mum fashion, etc. For months we would talk about that incident, and we could never figure out how we both managed to have the same exact dream at the same time. The whole neighborhood thought I was kidnapped. I don't really know why, and what the actual fuck is the thought process of how they think that happened, but apparently the people are frantically searching me. What I remembered is that my elder cousin and her husband took me to an internet cafe to let me watch them pick their wedding outfits. When we returned, everyone was shocked. My brother smiles because he knew I was in trouble. My mom was crying, and my dad slapped the shit out of me. It was so surreal. I've a good one. So I would have been 2 or 3 years old. Me and my older brother and sister were playing in our front room. My brother is 2 years older than me, and my sister is 4 years older than me. I remember being able to see straight out the window, unobstructed, so there were no blinds or nets, etc. Suddenly a white transit van pulls up outside, and 3 men in balaclavas get out, and next thing I know they are in the house. I don't know if the door was broken down or already open or someone opened it. My memory of this is mostly images due to my age, and I didn't see the door, if that makes sense. Anyway. They start beating up my mum and stepdad. My mum is held up against the wall in the kitchen with a knife. My stepdad is on the floor being beaten and kicked etc by the other 2 men. It's chaos. My big sister somehow had the sense to get us all out. She helped me and my brother climb out the front window and raced next door to get help. Next thing I know, the men run out past us, we are in the front garden, and into the van and drive off. I remember all 3 of us screaming, assuming mum was dead given we saw a knife to her. She wasn't though. She was beaten but not stabbed. Stepdad badly beaten but again, conscious and okay. Police were never involved. That night we packed up everything we could, and in the night we left that house and moved an hour away. Spent time living with acquaintances and in women's refuges, etc. Was a long time after before we had a new home. My mum is unreliable at best with details of our childhood. I'm estranged, we don't talk at all. I remember asking her once what it was about, and she claimed it had to do with her hearing too much about a chalky white murder while she worked in a pub. I don't really believe that. I know my stepdad was in and out of prison, so it's more likely he got involved and screwed over the wrong people. But that whole thing is genuinely my earliest memory. My mum told me that when I was a toddler, I would almost never drink any liquids. This was until I was 5, when I hit my jaw on a pole. And for some reason, after that, I always drink lots of water. Even to this day,